Welcome to the Straight Out of Home Video podcast, part of the Geeky Waffle Network.
Hello and welcome to Straight Out of Home Video. I'm Vanessa, and with me today is Candace.
Hello.
And Maggie.
Hello.
I'm sorry, I should have said top of the morning to you or something like that.
I know, I did too. I thought the same thing.
I regretted my hello instantly.
We probably could have planned this better. But either way, we haven't even said the title of the movie, which is today we're discussing The Luck of the Irish.
Which came out 22 years ago.
It did.
And don't remind me. And not to be confused with the 1941 movie of the same name.
Yes, when I was looking on IMDb, I came across that and I was like, okay, I did not know that this existed. And now I kind of want to watch that one too, even though I'm sure it's incredibly different. And weirdly enough, we're all wearing green, aren't we? Or at least some sort of green.
Yeah.
That was not planned. Or at least it was not planned by me. I don't know about you guys. But I must have just been in the mood after watching this movie. And Maggie, I hear that you wanted to be on this specific one. And why exactly is that?
So my birthday is St. Patrick's Day, and I'm Irish. My name is Maggie. But this movie came out on March 8th of 2001, and I have a super vivid memory of when it aired and when it reran. And you'd have to, I'm sure you all remember, and everybody listening remembers when you'd watch the TV Guide channel to see when things would play again. And I remember it played again on March 17th on my birthday. And I remember I ate my cake, opened my presents, and then I was like, everybody leave me alone. I have to rewatch this movie. They made it just for me. And I have loved this movie ever since. But rewatching it for this podcast was the first time I had rewatched it since like maybe when I was 10 or 11 and it was on a rerun on Disney Channel. So that was a full experience.
How did you feel after all of these years?
I still love it. It's so corny. And also, I did not realize that was Timothy. I never pronounced his last name right.
Yes.
Because I've been rewatching Psych, and it took the musical episode of Psych for me to realize that was the same guy from Gallivant. And then watching this, when he popped up, I was like, he's here too.
I saw his name come across, and I know him from Psych also, but I also know him from Supernatural. He's Kane in Supernatural, and he's like a badass. And so when I saw his name come on the screen, I was like, oh my God, he's in this movie?
It took me so long while watching Psych not to see him as this character. Like, at least one season, I kept thinking of Luck of the Irish and him trying to steal a gold coin.
So you had the opposite experience.
It was like I could not see his face because it's so.
He has a very specific look. Like his
does.
face, I have never seen another man with the same face. And there's plenty of actors where you're like, you can find their twin, or you've seen somebody on the show. I've never seen somebody who looks like Timothy, especially not in this movie. He has such a distinctive facial features.
Yes.
And handsome man.
He's
love it.
Beautiful. Gorgeous.
He's a great actor.
And he's
so
aged
well.
like fine wine.
Gallivant hotter through the years.
With the beard and everything?
Yes.
Fans. Speaking of hot, did either of you guys also have a crush on Ryan Merriman?
Absolutely. But I think that this might have been my first time seeing this movie. At least I don't have a recollection of seeing it. I always knew it existed. I know the name very well, but I don't remember actually watching it. So, but when I watched it, I was like, okay, I definitely know. And then I looked and that was Ryan Merriman. And I'm like, okay, I used to have a crush on him, but because of A Ring of Endless Light.
Yes.
Another DCOM movie.
The Dolphin.
Yes.
The Dolphin movie.
But yes, I did have such a very big crush on him.
I think I remember watching all this stuff more because I had a younger sibling who was very much into Disney Channel. And Maggie's a little bit younger than us too. So this was made for her. Specifically.
It was made specifically for me. I listened to Irish music all of today because of watching, and I always listen to it for March because I just treat the whole month as Irish month. But I was like, it's time. I've watched Luck of the Irish. It's time to get back in the mood.
This was so early 2000s, wasn't it?
Yes. Oh, yeah. Yes. Oh yeah. It had that great feel. I for some reason, what brought it home for me was not just the way the movie was, but weirdly enough, when they were in the computer lab and every single computer was a rainbow color leading back, I was like, oh man, this is
those computers.
And it just brought back a feeling of nostalgia of that time of just everything being colorful, even though I doubt that any of my schools had that good of equipment, actually. I don't
No.
remember any of my schools having that good of equipment.
I think we had those computers in college because they were so old. They could afford it.
They still weren't presented in a rainbow fashion, which I think
Oh, no.
really
And he was using the blandest one. He was using the gray one. And I was like, why did they not put this kid at the green one? Something that would have fit better. It was your choice. And the only thing I could think was that it was some sort of or Apple will give you all of these products, but we want them displayed in this way. And it just didn't work
Mhm.
to show the whole line. Cause I think it was in the color array of the commercials, if I remember the commercials from the early 2000s.
You know what else
Mm.
I also remember is Rory Gilmore and Gilmore Girls around this time got one of these too. So
Yeah.
I think
The
Apple was
colorful
calling everybody and being like,
colorful one? Just
you
oh,
want a
okay.
computer? Put this in here, please."
That's
So,
probably true.
because I
But
wanted
anyway,
one as a kid because I would see it in TV.
We always had the boring Dells. I'm the first
Yeah,
person in my
same.
family to ever get a Mac, and I got it last year, but I longed for these Macs. And I think it's because so many teen shows, that was like the thing. Everybody had them in their little rooms.
They also
yeah.
had that PC versus Mac commercial with Justin Long.
Yeah,
I want to be cool like Justin Long. Speaking of early 2000 things.
who's had a resurgence in recent years.
But I guess I should also say what this movie is about before we get
Yeah.
too far into it. Which
It's about heritage.
it is about heritage. That's the big thing. So basically, Ryan Merriman character, who's named Kyle, there's a heritage day at school, and this kind of gets him thinking about where am I from? Because apparently he doesn't know, his family doesn't really talk about it. And he starts asking his parents all these questions, which they will not answer. And they just say, well, you're from America. And obviously that is not a real answer.
You're
So
from
they
Cleveland.
Cleveland. But anyway, he also has this special coin that he wears all the time that his mom gave him when he was born. And that coin ends up, they find out later, being stolen at an Irish, is it an Irish carnival? I don't really know exactly what
It has
it
something.
was.
It's a
It was an Irish
festival.
festival. Okay, it was an Irish festival, but there's all these carnival rides, which is why it was throwing me off. And so then he realizes that his life is kind of changing after this coin is stolen, and he's always been this lucky person before. He's on the basketball team. He's a great basketball player, and then also his mom starts acting very weird and starts drinking, and he finds out that he is a leprechaun
Yeah,
half leprechaun. And then they have to find a way to retrieve this coin because all of the O'Reilly, which is his clan, luck is contained in this coin. So his entire family is in danger of losing all of their luck and reverting back to their leprechaun phase, which apparently they can't help but do if they don't have this coin. So hijinks ensue. And Timothy Omenson is the one at least I think I'm pronouncing that right, is the one who is the big bad in this one.
the evil leprechaun.
The evil but not in any sort of horror movie kind of way, except for
I was
maybe
thinking
the very
Warwick
end.
Davis. Does he rap like that one does?
He does Irish step dance, though.
He does, which is pretty that step dancing was really impressive. But yes, so that is in a nutshell the movie. And I think that from the beginning, it's I don't know, I feel like it does grab you. I think that this movie is well known for a reason. I enjoyed the characters and I enjoyed the even though the storyline's kind of silly, it's a DCOM movie, so what are you expecting? So I feel that for the most part, it was fleshed out as much as they could have in the time that they have. I mean, it's only an hour and 30 minutes. And it was, I don't know, what are you guys' thoughts on the movie? I know Maggie, you love it, but Candace, when you revisited this.
I think it holds up pretty well. I can see why I was entertained by this as a kid. It's always the children against adults kind of thing. And also that whole metaphor about growing up and your body changing. It reminds me of the 13th year. Remember when the kid's a mermaid?
Yes.
Or
They
Teen
just
Wolf.
like
It's always a
Teen Wolf.
metaphor. Always a metaphor for turning into something else when you're growing up.
I love how DCOM is just like, okay, let's do some vampires. Oh, zombies. They haven't done zombies yet. Vanessa and I are eventually gonna watch that zombie movie. There's a zombie
God, I cannot
trilogy
wait.
now.
Yes, it's actually not bad. Don't kill me.
Okay, I'm curious.
Also,
I am.
also the Descendants are actually really good. If you haven't watched the
I actually
Descendants,
love the Descendants.
I love them so much.
Oh my god! It. I watched that at the beginning of lockdown. I was
Me
like, I
too.
can't watch anything serious. Yes, because I was like, okay, my friends' kids kept dressing up as the characters, and I was like, I need to know what they're talking about because they sound crazy.
Yep.
That's the
Oh
same
god.
reason I watched all the Frozen shorts too, because they kept dressing.
The grip that DCOM material still has on
Oh my
us.
goodness.
It's it's still all there, and it feels like this is when I think DCOM, this is one of the movies that first comes to mind,
Mhm.
other than High School Musical and Xenon.
And I think with
Xenon.
yes, we did Xenon a little bit ago, and now we also obviously have the trilogies of that because that became a big thing. No, I think that this was just it was very iconic decom. I think the thing that freaked me out the most though was was the beginning part when he is talking to his parents about his heritage. It feels very Stepford. I don't know if you guys got that vibe, but like, no, nothing's wrong at all. We're fine. We're totally
And I was
normal.
like,
And I was
y'all do not know how to be normal.
no, they don't know how to be normal, especially his dad. His dad was just like, "No, now let's change the subject." And it was kind of creepy, honestly. I'm like, if
I
this is the kind of conversations that you guys have day to day, I don't think I would be okay.
I truly think that that is overplayed because the audience is kids and the intention is to really sell home that the parents are acting weird. And I'm sure a lot of kids probably have like asked parent questions of their parents and their parents are like, that's kind of weird. Let's not talk about that. And they needed to like really be there's something really weird here. What could it
Yeah,
be? Because it
yeah,
is
that's a fair
so
point.
weird. It is
Yeah.
so weird watching it as a grown up and being like, why don't you just be like, oh, we don't really talk about where we're from? That's not a weird thing. Especially not in the early 2000s. So many people are weird about where they came from still.
This is one of the things because I don't think it was ever covered in history, but like how the Irish were discriminated again.
That whole
Things I
list of
didn't
things
really
that
notice.
that whole list of things she lists off about how the Irish are treated, that's all true. Weird history that they truly talked about there.
So I was impressed that they got real there. But
It was valid. Mhm.
is this too stereotypical
Oh, it's so
of the culture?
stereotypical.
It feels kind of rude in a way.
Well,
I don't know how to say it.
I get what you're saying.
I think that if they had brought in more stuff like that, honestly, the dancing was really cool, and that was one of those things though that was kind of associated with the evil guy, which was funny because that was a really cool cultural thing that they brought in. But then the fact that when she turns really Irish, she's reverting back to Irish leprechaun, the mom. She makes all of these different kinds of meats and she puts it
And the Kilcannon and the what's so funny too is I don't maybe this is a me thing and my very unique childhood or something, but I was really obsessed with river dance as a child. And the whole I did Irish step dance and the whole 9 yards. But I always like I wonder what other people thought who weren't exposed to river dance at all thought with the Irish step dance because it is so different. But I also feel like this was the period of time where it was always on TV. If you watch PBS, they were always doing we're having a special. If you give us money, we'll send you all these fun river dance things. And it just, I don't know. It's interesting to think about it in context with like what a craze that was at that time.
well, and
Michael
If you go to
Flatley.
Raglan Road at Disney, they always have the Irish dancing.
Yes.
Oh, what was I gonna say? Michael Flatley, Lord of the
Lord of the
Dance.
Dance. Yeah.
Lord of the Dance.
I feel like it was Riverdance and Stomp were such early 2000s things that that's what everybody as kids we were interested in.
And I wonder
Like
if
how to
like
make
the bad
noise.
guys should do that because it's related to a good thing, and so to just make the villain.
And that was my point. But although Kyle, when he hears the music, can immediately dance super well to it.
He's
And can't
moved
help,
by that music.
help himself. He's just like, I can't help myself. I'm just going because his friend's like, wait, why are you doing that? And but my thing was it looked like other people in the crowd were actually trying to dance as well, and that confused me a lot.
I guess everyone was just moved by the music.
Yes, I guess.
And my feet were twitching. I wanted to get up
Yeah.
and dance.
But you also did this
did.
dancing.
I
so
did.
that makes sense.
Also, what's that line towards the end of the movie where in a really stereotypical Irish accent, they're like, dance is a sport in Ireland or something? It's like,
This is sport, and which I don't think is a bad thing, honestly.
no, it's just so corny the way it's delivered. There's
Yeah.
a lot of really funny lines in this. Oh no, I'm a Vulcan. Here's another really good one that I'm blanking on, but there's so many. It's so corny.
And I think that they went obviously full tilt on a lot of this stuff, which was maybe funny and maybe a little offensive at sometimes, but mostly fine. I think the weird thing was when they just didn't commit. Like when Kyle kind of would say stuff with an Irish accent and then stop. And I'm like, I know he's supposed to be regressing slowly, but it was just really weird how he would say certain things with the accent and then other times just be totally fine.
I think Ryan Merriman as a child was not paid enough to learn a full Irish accent. And that's the deal. He did what he could.
What was the one that he says a half-hearted Irish that will save preserve me or something, and the absolute worst Irish accent was out of nowhere. And the orange hair,
Oh yeah. So good. It's so good.
neon orange
The
too. It's
spike.
like
I
it's
know.
like
It's not like
interpreted.
real red. I'm like, why did you guys choose this? Was it just because it just stood out so crazily?
Oh my
His mother had, I don't know if that's her natural hair, but she looks like natural redhead or whatever. So
Oh.
it's not they were going for like straight out crazy stereotype. They were going for real, at least with her. But no, orange. Almost like spray orange.
Yes.
Did you guys know there's an Indian remake of this movie?
No.
I just found this out and my mind's blown. Luck Luck Kai Bat is about Emmett, who is a class hero, incredibly lucky student who has a lucky gold coin. He visits a fair that is styled around Arabian Nights, and he encounters a series of mystical and sinister characters amidst colorful stars. And then it doesn't, that's all the summary is. I need to watch this.
Well, at least the setup sounds like it, but then I don't know about meeting all the mystical stuff. Oh, also, one of the weird things, the fact that his grandpa ended up being in the same town and then they just kind of build this relationship
mean
out of nothing.
Selling potatoes.
Selling potato chips.
Potatoes. See, it's so stereotypical.
Oh my god! And called the Emerald Isle potato chips.
Well, why not? Of course.
Oh my god!
But he just kind of comes out of nowhere, and I'm like, okay, so you're listening all this family drama, and apparently your mother did not know that he was here at all.
Even though the dad then says, "I knew as soon as that potato chip company came to town, we should leave."
Did you guys look at the IMDb trivia for this?
Oh god, I'm afraid.
Okay.
I did not look at the trivia.
Are you guys ready?
So-
I got some bangers here. This is
Bangers
Zack
and mash.
Oh,
Ah.
apparently this is Zack Snyder's kids' favorite movie. I don't know how they know that, but somebody put that on IMDb.
Cool.
This
Well,
is
did
the
you know that
only-
Jonathan? Did you know that Jonathan Major's favorite movie is Homeward Bound? How
Hey,
do we
that's
find out these
classic.
things? It is
That
true.
movie made me cry as a child. Well, most
Mhm.
movies did. I cried a lot as a kid and as an adult. But anyway, this is the only DCOM movie based on Irish heritage.
How many do they need? More than just the one? I'm confused.
Okay, actor Henry Gibson played a leprechaun in Bewitched 30 years before this movie.
Hmm.
So he is typecast.
And he's not even Irish.
He also has like 150 something IMDb credits. So
So I guess it was like bound to happen, right?
I had a couple of questions as well as just how this world building kind of started or at least like when the transformation started happening. Because it seemed like for a little bit, Kyle was the only one who was kind of noticing it. Can the dad not hear his wife's accent?
I think they were still trying to play it off.
He was trying to play it like, this is fine.
No,
This is
he
normal.
He could play off the meat, all the weird cooking she was doing or whatever. But the fact that she was speaking in an Irish accent, that's kind of hard to play off.
He seemed in denial. Like he's like, it's fine.
Well, there's also the inconsistency too of when he starts turning into a leprechaun and he's wearing the hat to hide his hair and all that stuff, but he doesn't seem to notice that his ears are pointy until
Yeah.
many, many scenes later when Bonnie points them out. And I'm like, boy, you've been running around school all day with pointy ears and you just now recognize that? Like, you didn't feel that? Nobody pointed it out.
Didn't look in a
Nobody
mirror.
did. Nobody did apparently, but they're all pissed at him anyways, which is really ridiculous because that was so stereotypical high school where they're like, "Oh, you like even though you got us to the finals, the fact that you played one lousy game, now everyone hates you." I was like, "Man, I freaking hate high school. Teenagers are the worst."
Honestly. So many weirdnesses in this movie.
Another weird thing that I thought was the fact that his grandfather drives a green car, which of course is lime green. That is not really an Irish green.
There's 50 shades of green, so
Sure, but I'm just saying that was a very odd choice
well, it's
considering
like the
every
neon orange hair too. They
yeah.
It's kids like bright colors. Oh, that's it. What do you guys think about the whole basketball aspect? It reminded me of Teen Wolf, but it's something in
I
these
loved it.
movies all the time.
I
It's
played
like there has to
basketball.
be a
Because high
sport all
school
the time.
high school sports are everything, apparently.
I played basketball at this point in my life, so I was living. I was like, basketball, Irish.
Okay, question. Who would win on a one-on-one game? Kyle or Troy Bolton?
Troy Bolton.
Oh, wow. He got a
Well,
college scholarship, so he must be good, right?
I think it depends on if he has the coin or not.
Oh,
Because
that's true.
that last shot that he made in the very first whatever couple minutes of the movie, Troy couldn't even do that. That was actually just luck.
Yeah,
But
like
you see, Troy Bolton can dance and play basketball
No,
without the need for magic, without the need for
without the need for
magic.
magic. Yes, that's true, but that's what I'm saying. Does he have the coin or does he not have the coin? Because if he has the coin, different story.
it's also just a terrible thing. Like this kid has been lucky his entire life. Has he dealt with any strife or anything terrible? I'm
doesn't-
reading
well,
way
that
too
was
much
the
into
whole
this.
No, that
But
was the
it's
whole
making up
point.
for the struggle of Ireland. He is the hope of the entire country.
He's living his best life for his ancestors.
Which is so funny because the struggles that I don't like the Irish don't really have like it's not really even a thing anymore, right? Like at all. But
It depends on the area.
I
Yes,
mean,
so.
we all have generational trauma.
Yeah,
I
the
guess
Irish,
that's
down.
the Irish have some real generational trauma too.
And that can also just be biological. That comes
Yeah.
down, which is something I learned. That I was like, oh, yay, my Indian heritage is great. But then you realize that we're more prone to diabetes because of our famine, too.
Which
Yay.
the Irish have that issue too because of the
Yeah.
famine. It's like you love
Yay.
these things that you can't escape, literally, because it's in your
No,
genes.
that happened decades, centuries ago. But yeah.
that was part I guess that's part of it because that's the whole thing about that because they worked through everything, they developed this kind of this luck that has followed them around. And that's the whole reason also that they came to the United States was to build a new life around that.
But the thing is, they're Irish, yes, but they're not Irish people. They're freaking leprechauns.
That's also
Exactly.
true.
They're
Also, what is
mystical
that?
beings.
I guess in this movie, it almost seems like every Irish person is a leprechaun. It's kind of what they
Yeah.
build it around.
What is
Oh, that's not.
what is the one line? I think it's Riley who says it. That's like, "This is how I manifest my despair," or something like that.
I don't.
Was I playing the flute or something?
Look, he did
was
play
it?
the flute. That's
Really
right.
leaning into the depressed Irish stereotype.
But the only stereotype they didn't really put into this was like them
No
drinking.
alcohol.
No alcohol.
Free.
Which obviously because it's a kid movie, I assume that's why. But still,
We need a Luck of the Irish sequel when he's in college and he's turned 21.
and he can just
He's
drink
just
the whole time.
hammering Guinness.
just winning all the drinking games.
Oh gosh.
One thing that I found that was sort of funny, but also sort of I don't understand what this line is when they are doing all the games because Kyle challenges what's the actual name of the evil leprechaun? I just keep calling so
The Irish
Yeah.
name.
Seamus. So when he confronts Seamus, he realizes the way to try and get out of this is that he knows he loves to make wagers. So he says that if I beat you in sports, then I get my coin back. You let my grandpa go. And so they're playing all of these Irish sports that apparently existed for thousands of years. And I don't know if they still play any of them now, but they're basically these ancient games. But one of them was some sort of, I don't know, it was like a sort of javelin toss or something. It was aiming at a target, and it looked like archery, but it wasn't archery because they were just throwing at it. But Kyle says in America, because Seamus is saying, "Oh, we have kings in Ireland," and then he goes, "In America, we don't believe in kings. We believe in baseball," and then throws the arrow or whatever it is. I'm like, what was that comment supposed to mean? No,
No, I don't know. But they're supposed to be like Gaelic games? Hurling, maybe?
yes,
I don't know.
But what was the baseball comment?
I think that was just Disney Channel's "We're American," and the most American thing you can do is play baseball.
But it had nothing to do with baseball. Even the throw, I could imagine if they had the ball or whatever and they were throwing a ball, that would be something. But it wasn't. They were throwing a little arrow thing.
That was
Why?
my mental gymnastics to get to why they said it. I was like, "Oh, they're just trying to really sell home, I mean, apple pie and baseball."
Kids
Freaking.
are stupid.
But it's just ridiculous because all of this is about heritage, and then it's like, oh wait, but America's so great. And it was kind of like going back and forth between the two of that. But the initial feeling was that, well, I just want to know where I'm from, and I want to celebrate that heritage. But then they kept coming back to all these America comments, and I'm like, I don't understand what you're trying to do here.
It's getting too foreign for the Americans. It scared them.
And this was pre 9/11. But I did when I was watching this, because obviously when I watched this the first time as a kid, I didn't know in like 6 months big things were gonna happen. But it made me wonder if this movie would have been made post 9/11 because of how insanely America First we got after that. Because even though there's weird America's Great stuff in here, it's still really like you can't ignore or deny or pretend you don't have heritage outside of America. There's really good trying for like an Aesop's fable thing about staying in tune with where you come from, which I feel like gets lost in a lot of American stuff post 9/11.
If I'm just looking after what I'm thinking is after. This is an interesting study. If we look at DCOM stuff, that
It is
filming
really interesting.
after 9/11, because we have to think about production times and how long scripts were made and everything fun like that. In 2004, we got Tiger Cruise, which is actually about the real life events of a USS Constellation that had families on board during 9/11 and how they all interacted and how they all coped with the trauma of that. But going on after that, it's all very American. There's no more of these cultural kind of things until even Wendy Wu in 2006. She's still very American.
Yep.
And her whole thing was like, this is my culture and I am gonna kick some butt, but I'm gonna do it the American way kind of thing.
It's really interesting. I've always been curious to know if anybody did any like scholarly studies into it, because I'm sure
About
there's
how
some interesting.
children's entertainment changed. And
And I
how
feel
we
like we could
eventually went
start to pull away from it.
and we started being like back to diversity and maybe foreigners aren't all bad kind of
Yeah.
thing.
I felt like this, and maybe this is an out of pocket thing to say, but I felt like this and a lot of early DCOM was effortlessly diverse. Like there was always secondary characters and friend groups were very diverse, and then it kind of got very white for a long time, and then they slowly started coming back.
Other than like Johnny Tsunami, before this, there wasn't really any people of color
In the main
starring.
roles.
Oh, it's great to have a best friend or a side character have that diversity as a child, especially. Not seeing anybody like yourself really sucks. And it's like, I think we just got an Indian or South Asian DCOM movie in the past 2 years.
It took this
American.
long?
Oh
Yeah.
wow.
Wow.
And I think she's a DJ.
That's so DCOM sounding.
Yes, it was 2001. It took like 20 called Spin. I'm excited to watch that one.
Wait, what was the year?
2000 2021.
2021.
Okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You said 2001 at
Yeah.
first, and I was like, wow.
Oh,
I don't
no.
remember this one. Oh, that's cool, though.
But that's the
That's-
thing again, is when we do get diversity, the whole thing is about diversity.
Yeah.
It's not about them just being people. It's specifically about the hook is, oh, she's Indian, but she's also a DJ. We did get also before this also Up and Away, which was a black family who were superheroes. It was Sky High before Sky High in a DCOM.
Yes.
That was a
Remember that
classic.
one.
I love that. Because I think that kid too is like, I don't know what my superpowers are either, but I have a family. But
It's always about finding your magic.
yes.
Are you a mermaid? Are you a superhero?
Basically, just finding your own unique identity.
Yes. Then you got Twitches. That was my favorite.
Are you a witch?
Freaking love Twitches. That was my jam. I watched that movie to death.
Are you a cheetah girl? We don't know.
Put some respect on the Cheetah Girls name.
No, I did love them.
I love Cheetah Girls too.
I really liked
Honestly.
Cheetah Girls too when they went to Spain. It was nice.
Yes. Anytime the DCOM movie went abroad, you knew you were getting a good one.
Apparently, the third one, which I haven't seen, is they go to star in a Bollywood movie without Raymond.
Oh my gosh.
Raven. I didn't know that.
Huh. I missed that one. It was
Mhm.
after my time.
Me too. It's after even my babysitting time.
Well, what do you guys think? Because obviously this came out, I think, before Rotten Tomatoes was an actual thing, but now they have everyone commented on it anyway. What do you think that the audience score was?
2.5. I don't know.
This is
3?
how
percentage.
This is percentage.
Oh.
I think it has to be like 60% because I figure a lot of people go on there because they're fans.
I'm gonna take a guess and say 55.
53%.
Damn, why are all these look at the Irish haters? Are they all Irish people mad about this?
I don't understand why considering this was I don't know. I feel like I've watched so many more painful movies than like this was a fun movie. I don't understand.
There are some of these are bad. I'm just gonna say that.
There are plenty of movies that are just terrible. And I don't know. A lot of people were saying it's like, or one person says it's a little too cartoony for me. And okay, here we go. Being Irish, I was slightly intrigued by the advertisement on Disney, but mostly horrified. The whole concept of the movie is appalling, and a better screenplay could have been fished out of a bin in a downtown city dump. A teenager with all the luck in the world and an annoying ego to boot suddenly finds himself inexplicably turning into a leprechaun with the help of his grandfather and best friend. Okay, that's just that. He has to struggle to find a magic coin from a bucket of them, which is in the thieving hands of an evil leprechaun. Read the last paragraph and try to do it without gagging. It's hard, isn't it? And I'm like, wait, why? I don't know. They basically just reread the synopsis and said that was terrible.
Seriously. I love this one that says, is there anything Ryan Merriman can't do? And they gave it a 4.5 star.
One of them is 3 stars and says, why is Tim Omenson in there? Question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark.
I think the better question is why is he not in more things?
Correct.
I think this is where he got like not his start, but because he was in Seinfeld and he was in quite a few other things, but it's up there. And
I just love that that's the only comment, and then just says 3 stars.
Okay, the person who did the review that said the thing about they're Irish and try not to gag, the first one you read, they also rate it Barney's Great Adventure a 0.5 star. Please, if you are an adult, why are you expecting greatness from a kid's show like that?
I know
Why are you saying it's the most boring, unnecessary, stupid film I've ever watched? Come on.
You have to judge these through the eyes of a child. You have to judge them through the audience. Are you still having a good time?
There's another one that says 2 stars and it says Disney in another attempt to entertain us. Notice I said entertain.
What?
I need some substance,
I think
guys.
a 10. I think I meant to say, notice I said a 10.
Maybe. That's probably what they meant. But I'm just like, I need more substance in this, guys. But
this is my new favorite one. This is from 2011. It's a Rotten Tomatoes review. it talks about it's fell into Lake Erie, blah blah blah. At the end, it goes, it syncs up so good to Skillet's new album.
So
Okay.
like how they think that Wizard of Oz syncs up to what's the album?
Dark
Isn't it
Side
Dark
of
Side of the
Moon.
Moon?
So
I thought
Luck
I
of
guess
Irish
that's what that
has
means.
one.
Okay, now we have to
Uh,
rewatch it to
with
listen to
that
what Skillet's. I
Or
don't
is this
even
just
have that album.
is that
This
the
was
band just trying to get more people to listen to try it out? It's really good
maybe.
marketing.
And that is the only review that person ever gave on
See,
March 29th, 2011.
that person was high as F. Let's just be real.
Not
They did
listening to
that
Skillet. That
they did that on St. Patrick's Day. They celebrated by getting high and watching this movie and listening to music. That's how it worked.
man, the reviews for this are something else.
Well, it's Rotten Tomatoes, so what can you do?
It gives you a different view of leprechauns.
As opposed to like horror movies, or I need more information, guys.
This was so terrible. I enjoyed it so much.
Anyway, I thought it was pretty fun. I'm actually kind of surprised that it was this low on the ratings, but people are gonna. I think people have way too many expectations for stuff like this when it's just like this is a DCOM movie and this is what you're getting.
I thought the kids were great, which is so weird because they were older than us when I first watched this. But I'm like, these kids are great. When I thought they were adults to me, really, because they're in high school, kind of thing. But and then Timothy just is a ham. He
Absolutely,
he
I love it.
he knew what this was, and
Mhm.
he did what needed to be done.
Yes, he did. I love it. I love him. I think that he's a great actor, and I think that he just ran
His
with it, and that's the most
his
fun that you can
face,
have.
his face
Yeah.
is so expressive and
Yes.
just so memorable. Again, Psych came out I think in 2006 or 2007. 5 years after I watched this. 5, 6
Mhm.
years after I watched this. Started watching Psych, and I couldn't get this man's face out of my head. I kept expecting him to start an Irish accent. I kept looking at his ears.
Oh man. So overall, you guys, what would you recommend this as a fun watch later in life if you
Yeah,
watched this as a kid?
yeah, as a nostalgic throwback, I think it would be fun. If you're having a St. Patrick's Day party, millennials, play this. I think it would be fun to
Mhm.
have on in the
Mhm.
background while you get drunk on green beer or whatever people who party do. I do not.
Green beer, Jameson, all the stereotypical stuff.
That meat she cooked was, you eat that?
Well, I
What
think
what
most people do corned beef, but that was a lot of that was bangers, black and white pudding. I think it's what it's called.
Good blood pudding.
Mhm.
Maggie, we gotta get some blood pudding while we're in London.
I've had it.
No, thank
Not
you.
great.
I'm
I
excited
don't
for
eat meat all anymore.
I'm excited for
But
meat pies though. I want some pies. That's gonna be
Now
okay.
you're going English, man. You gotta go back to
Sorry,
Irish.
that was stereotypical of me to think that they're all the
no,
same in that
no.
circle.
I
But
mean,
it's
what
just
next? Are
like
you going to suggest haggis?
wait, for the record, I've been watching a lot of Food Network because I can't cope with anything serious. And so many of these chefs are like Asian flavors. And I'm like, that is so freaking broad, y'all. Like Indian flavors are so different than Japanese. And they're just like, I'm an expert in Asian food. And I'm like, all of it?
That must be all of
All of
it.
it?
All of
Because
it.
that includes Russia too. So are you
Yep,
Russian
all of
too?
it.
Just get your continents right. Come on, guys. Just say you're Eastern. I'm sorry. That was a rant that I've been holding on in my heart. I'm defending my
Your
English and Irish
heritage.
food is the same.
The heritage.
Apparently, though my other half is English and Irish, mostly Irish. So,
This movie's for you,
what?
girl.
Exactly.
I'm
It's
also I'm also Irish and not fully, but yes, that's
I
definitely
can
in my
see it,
background.
Vanessa.
The freckles and the hair didn't really tip you off.
Maggie's the most Irish being born in St. Patrick's Day.
It's true.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It came
It's a
out
step
ready
above.
to celebrate green, and green's my favorite color. So surrounded by it right now.
I know. I see it in your wallpaper. Isn't that green?
Yep. Yep. And green eyes, tons of freckles. red undertones.
I
Candace
think
gave it.
even kids today would find this entertaining, honestly.
Yeah, I
I
will
think they would
say
be engaged with it.
there's moments that I think would be considered slow to these kids these days.
These
Lots of
TikTokers.
these TikTokers that only got the attention span of a goldfish. But I think the story is once it picks up is very fun and engaging and goofy the
It's
right kind of ways. And there's music.
it yeah, it's very cartoony, but in a fun way.
Mhm.
And
Unlike
I
that.
Ryan
agree.
Merriman is a babe. So
Oh, he's so cute. I loved him so
such a babe.
much. Had such a crush on that kid. Oh, also Smart House. He was in Smart House. I'm so
Yes, he
excited
was
about
in
that one
Smart
too,
House.
Vanessa.
Yes, that's
DCOM King.
he's been in quite a bit. And he actually has done stuff even recently too,
He had
which
one
kind
that
of
came out
surprised me.
last year.
It's the one that came out last year was Out of Exile, which I don't know what that is, but and he's also been in a couple of different things after Disney, which I just don't know like any of them.
I saw him
Uh,
in a Hallmark Christmas movie. He
Mm-hmm.
was delightful. He was in
He's had a
Pretty
couple
Little
like
Liars.
he was in Pretty
couple
Little
bit part.
Liars, and he's been in a couple TV
He was in
things.
Final Destination 3,
Mhm.
Oh,
Ring
yeah.
2. He got into the horror genre for a bit there. Then did some bad sci-fi stuff.
Attack of the 50-Foot Cheerleader.
I remember Veritas the Quest
That
that
sounds
he
so
was in. He was
familiar.
like the lead. I think his character was Nick or Nico or something like that. I remember that one. And that was post Luck of the Irish.
There's this title of this movie is a Christmas movie, Christmas?
It's two orphan adult women who get sucked into a Christmas movie cliche thing. But then Ryan Merriman owns an inn, which I was really mad about watching this recently because I had an idea similar to this. But anyway, so except mine's different. Mine's an actual straight up
Yours
horror
is different.
movie. Yes.
It just took me a
Ryan
minute
Merriman
to
plays an
understand.
innkeeper. At the inn, these two fictional guys who each of the sisters fall in love with, they come to the real world, and I'm like, they don't have a social security number. How is this gonna work?
You would think about that. That's
Of
the
course I
problem.
would.
That's the problem with the movie. Yes.
Oh my god, Kobe Smulders was in the Veritas, The Quest.
Yes.
She
I think it was
so
a
young.
Canadian show,
It
possibly.
probably was.
I watched a lot of Canadian weird sci-fi stuff back then.
Same. I loved Andromeda. Which my cat's name was Trance.
I loved Earth Final Conflict.
Oh,
That was my jam. I bring it up once or twice a year because I think of it. I love that. Andromeda. There was another one that was really good too. Oh, Sliders. All the good Canadian shows.
Ugh.
okay.
Well, anyway,
We went
any
off topic
last
a lot.
thoughts? Any last thoughts on this movie? Look of the
Watch it the St. Patrick's Day. Get in the spirit. Start wearing green.
think of Maggie.
Yes.
Wish her happy birthday. Wish her happy birthday.
Celebrate me. I'm turning the big 3-0.
All right. So you definitely have to watch it this St. Patrick's Day. I know you just watched it, but still.
Gonna watch it again.
Oh gosh. I'm just glad it lived up to it. Because I
Yeah.
held this movie in a place in my heart and I was like, oh, I haven't rewatched this since being an adult. Like, what if it's terrible? What if my memory, what if it has really bad stereotypes against people who aren't Irish? I was like, you're always afraid that you missed something
Early
as a
2000?
kid. Early 2000s, lots of stuff about heritage. How could this possibly go wrong?
There was definitely a lot of those with the Disney sequels and direct-to-home video, whereas I was an idiot child and I thought this was good.
No, nothing holds up. Well, great.
Okay, so
So wait, where do you find us? Yes.
yes, Maggie is also a waffle host.
It's
Which
true. I am.
will be coming back to
Yes, it will be.
Starbucks Lovers.
Yes,
It's Maggie. We're going to see her in May.
we are.
I feel like Philadelphia has a lot of Irish people.
And Maggie, where can we find you online?
You can find me on Twitter at Maggie of the Town and on Instagram at the Maggie Lovett.
Awesome. And then Geeky Waffle, Candace, where can you find all of our stuff?
You can find us at geeky_waffle on Twitter, the Geeky Waffle everywhere else, including Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, pretty much anything social media. We're gonna be there, even though, yes, we are millennials. I learned it, Vanessa. You're not learning it.
Learning what, TikTok?
TikTok and all that stuff. Arzu refuses too.
I cannot get her to do it. She's sitting here
No.
she's sitting here making a reel at the premiere, and I'm
Mhm.
like, you could just put that on TikTok. It's the same
I just
principle.
had her
And
give me footage.
she's like, no. Oh, she told me she did it. Okay.
She did the Instagram reel. She did the
Okay.
Instagram reel.
Listen, guys,
For-
I can't even do Twitter. So
We know Vanessa.
anyway, I'm Vanessa,
I'm Candace.
Oh, and I'm Maggie.
and we hope you have a happily ever after until you realize that you are now a leprechaun and you lost your magic coin, and hopefully you get it back.